All right, so we're doing a lesson virtually today. So I'm gonna run through it like I normally would. So hopefully you're able to follow along and take notes as we go here. It'll be the 17th when you guys take this, unless it's a future year out. So I apologize if that's gonna be off for you. So we're gonna review what we talked about yesterday, which was slope. That was our slope formula, which we learned this new formula. And those x's and y's come from our coordinate points here. So this is x1, y1, x2, y2. This is what you guys did for homework last class. So we're going to put all of that into our formula, and then we're going to simplify it. So we're going to do y2, -3, minus y1, which is 5, over x2, 0, minus x1, which is a -4. We end up with a -8 on top, and then a +4 on the bottom. One of the good things about doing the videos on the notes on video is you can pause me as you need to and catch up. So if you miss something, you can just pause. So -8/4 is going to be a -2/1, or just a -2. Either one's fine when we simplify that. So that's our slope. So we're going to learn slope today from a graph. So this was what we did last class. This time we're doing slope from a graph, which we did these already, but I'm just going to quickly run through them again. So remember, positive is uphill, puff, puff, positive. Nice, negative, downhill slope. Zero, fun, is our flat line. And then undefined is the vertical line that we're like basically squaring in math class. So we're going to see those on the graph now today. Mostly ones like the first two. These are more unique, and so they come up less often. So we're looking at the slope from the graph here. I'm going to tell you guys it might be a little bit hard for you guys to see, so like definitely look back to your graph as needed. We're going to find that slope from our graph. So in terms of these, we're going to use slope now. And we're going to do something called rise over run, which is hopefully something you guys have heard before. Rise over run is how much I go up and down by how much I go left and right. Now up is positive and down is negative. Right is positive, left is negative. Typically, I'll do the rise first. And what I'm going to do is, remember, we always ski eastward, so we're headed to the right. And so I can tell already this is going downhill. So this is already, I know this is going to be a negative slope, nice negative. So I'm going to basically pick 2 points that are close to each other. So I'm going to pick these 2 points here. And I'm going to go from one point to the next. In order to do that, I have to think about how much I go up or down. So to go from here to here, I'm going to go down 4. And when I'm counting this, I'm counting like the blocks, not the lines. The lines kind of get confusing. So I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4 down. So since I'm going down, it's negative. And then I'm running over in the positive direction because we're headed +2. It's positive to the right. So I'm going to go 1, 2, +2. So my slope then is down 4 over 2. And if you checked anywhere else in the graph, it would do the same thing, down 4 over 2, down 4 over 2. It would keep repeating that, so it's the same slope all the way down. But this I can simplify. -4 over 2 becomes a -2 over 1, or just a -2 is my slope. So again, my slope was downhill. It made sense that it was a negative. So down 4 over 2, and I simplify that. So the second step of this is to make sure you simplify your answer. Great. So we're going to look at this next one here. Now this one I can tell is going uphill, puff, puff, positive. We're going uphill. And again, I pick any 2 points that I want to choose. So I'm going to choose these 2 to go. Doesn't really matter which ones I choose. So I'm going to use, again, my rise over my run. So to get to this next point, I have to go up 2 dots to be level with that next one. So up 2, so +2. And then I'm going over 3 dots. or 3 blocks, 1, 2, 3. So over 3 because that's the positive direction again. So up 2 over 3, and so my slope would be 2 over 3 for this one. And again, you can check other places up 2 over 3. If you go further apart, you just have to simplify that more. So if I did this one, it'd be 4 over 6, which would still just be 2/3. So my slope is the same throughout my whole graph, but this time it's positive because of, like, we're going uphill there. All right, so take a minute, feel free to ask the person next to you, ask Tucker if you guys have questions at all in terms of finding that slope, or Miss Miller if she's in the room with you guys. So it's like kind of double checking if you're not understanding how we're counting up and over. I know this is something you guys saw last year, so hopefully it is a good reminder and you remember. So I have these 3 I'm going to find the slope for, and then we're going to do a little bit of review because that's going to be on our worksheet, which is our homework. So I'm going to go A, B, and C on here. Again, just some more practice with this. And so the A is the red one on mine, which probably on yours just looks gray because I have not colored notes, sorry. So my A, again, I'm going to go from point to point. I'm going to pick those 2 points just because those are the ones I saw first. Now again, I'm going downhill here. So nice negative again, going downhill. And again, I'm making a little stair from one to the next. And it's the rise over the run. So I always go up and down first and then left to right second. It's kind of confusing because that's different than coordinate points. So my slope in this case is I'm going down 1, 2, 3. But then I'm going over 1, 2, 3 in the positive direction. And that's where my negative comes in. So I have a negative over a positive, which is going to be a negative. So it's a negative 1 over 1 or just a negative 1. Either one I'm good with. And if you check that then, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, that slope remains the same throughout the whole graph. Then for our letter B here, so B is down here. Down on mine, it's like this blue one here. And again, I'm picking any 2 points. I'm actually going to go a little further apart this time just to show you guys. So if I'm using, like, let's say this point and this one, I'm going up 2 here to get level with this other one. So I'm going a positive 2. And you don't have to write the positive, I'm just doing that so you guys can see it. And I'm going all the way across, and I'm going to count the spaces across 8. So over 8. So up 2 over 8, and if I simplify that, that's going to be a 1/4 for my slope. And if you had picked 2 points that were closer together, that would also have been 1/4. So finally for our line C, again, pick any 2 points. I'm going to use these 2. I can already tell my slope is going to be positive because it's going uphill. I'm going to go up 2 and over 1. So up 2 over 1. It's my slope, which is just 2. Either answer is fine with me. So we found our 3 slopes from this graph. Typically they'll be drawn all separately, but I just to fit them all on one. So now we're going to go to some review problems. So just kind of remind you guys of the other things we've learned. I realized when I printed these are kind of small, so I apologize. So we're going to graph some reviewing from graphing from a table and intercepts. Those are the 2 things we've learned in this chapter. So I'm going to do just kind of some easy points just to kind of save us a little bit of time here. So let's pick 3 points, and you can do the same thing for your homework as long as they all fit on your graph. So I'm going to put these values in. So remember, I got to choose my x value. So I chose whatever I wanted for x. I chose these 3 x values. And I'm going to put that into my equation, which is this. So this is a negative 3 times my x plus 4. And again, you can just put that straight into your calculator. Negative 2 times the negative 3 is a positive 6. Plus 4 would give me 10. And then I'm going to do the same thing again. I multiply there, that gets 0 plus 4. I'm going to get 4. Don't forget about that 4 on the end. So negative 3 times 2 is a negative 6, plus 4 would be a negative 2. So now I go to graph these. So negative 2, 10, 0, 4, and then 2, negative 2. And so we have our line drawn. I drew with arrows to show it goes on forever. Our last one we're going to graph using intercepts. And if you guys recall, we have x and y intercepts. So the x-intercept is where y is 0. So that means I'm going to substitute in 0 as our y value. So in this equation, I'm going to put 0 in as y. And I'm reminding you guys of this because I don't want you to forget how to do this when we kind of like have to take a test in a few weeks on this, or a week or so. This cancels, because that just ends up being 0. So I'm going to divide and solve and find out my x is 4. So this is my first coordinate point. Sorry, I wrote that wrong. So 4, 0. So that's going to be my first coordinate point on this graph. So 4, 0, I'm going to put a dot there. Then I'm going to find my y-intercept. So my y-intercept is where x is 0. So now I'm going to put the 0 in for the x. Now again, this cancels. So I'm left with negative 6y equals 12. And then I need to solve this, but don't lose that negative. So I'm going to divide by a negative 6. I'm going to find out y is negative 2. So that's going to be my next point, is 0, negative 2. Now I'm going to have to adjust my graph layer a little bit. So 0, negative 2, I'm going to put here. And again, that's enough to draw our line. So through those 2 dots, I'm going to draw our line. So at this point, guys, you should be done with your notes. You should be able to show Miss Miller or whoever's subbing that you have your homework done, or your notes done. So show your notes. And then once you guys have that, she'll give you that worksheet. So the worksheet is due for homework for tomorrow. All right, so please use your time wisely, be respectful, and hopefully it all goes well.